What is poppin', people? You got J Bear here, bringing you our BBR week number 1. This will be a team builder and battle video. Like I mentioned in the draft analysis, we are going to be doing full team builders for this. So be sure to leave a like if you are all about that. And if not, you can go ahead and skip to the battle. I don't know where exactly that'll be just yet, but I should maybe doubtfully leave a timestamp in the description. So, yeah, let's get on into it. We are facing Q week 1, which poses an interesting matchup for us. As a reminder, if you didn't catch the draft analysis, matchup currently on screen, our team consists of Cinderace, Great Tusk, Terra, Latios, Primarina, Jirachi, Overquill, Terra Jolteon, Slither Wing, Bellossom, and Dunsparce, going up against Q's team of Garchomp, Teal Mask Ogerpon, Rotom Wash, Galarian Slowbro, Heatran, Rabombi, Hitmontop, Galarian Moltres, Azelf, and Magneton. So, first impressions of the matchup. First impression sounds a lot like Slither Wing, which, speaking of, is pretty good here, as first impression is a great click to pressure the Teal Mask Terra Ogerpon. Otherwise, the bug resists are overall quite light, with it just being the Heatran and the Hitmontop. But close combat gets through both of those. Oh, I guess and Magneton, but close combat gets through all of those. So we're kind of in just a great spot with the Slither Wing. Yeah, fighting's really spammable with the only resists being Galarian Slowbro, Rabombi, and Azelf, none of which are particularly sturdy, and none of which want to catch a Great Tusk hit. So, like, the fighting spam just looks really open, and on top of that, Cinderace acts as almost a third fighting type in this matchup with a Protean boosted high jump kick, or Libero boosted, I guess, don't sue me. So that's kind of the core that I was looking at, but overall, like, all of my top 8 look good. Cinderace, I mentioned, is great with the offensive synergy. Could potentially be a court change set if I don't want to run spin on my Tusk. Hint, I do. Latios kind of forced into Scarf here to at least tie the Ogerpon, but overall seems pretty good into the team. You know, can click Surf on the Heatran, can Draco pretty much everything else. Magneton is not that bulky. Primarina acts as a decent special check to the Galarian Moltres and Heatran, and potentially Rabombi as well. Jirachi I really like for the rocks here, and just throwing off a Healing Wish late game. I will show off my prep, but it does revolve heavily around that Jirachi. Overquill and Jolteon were both considered, but ultimately left off of the build. Overquill just let in Garchomp a little bit too freely, in my opinion, and Jolteon was just nice, but wasn't completely necessary here, and I felt the other 6 Pokemon that I ended up bringing facilitated my game plan better. Bellossom was a consideration for a second, then I saw the Heatran and was like, nope. And Dunsparce actually could have been a surprising threat here. Being surprisingly bulky, and the fighting type of Hitmontop doesn't actually dissuade it that hard, but I ultimately decided that my team needed the rolls from the top 5 plus Slither Wing. So going over Q's side of the things a little bit, the top 3 is pretty scary. Garchomp is relatively scary. He does kind of want to be mixed or fully special for the Great Tusk. Ogerpon, you know, it's decent. It's forced a lot by Slither Wing to be like a potential like Spiky Shield Encore set. That being said, I think that's pretty good into me. And Rotom Wash kind of needed for the Great Tusk. G-Bro, shout out Chef, Nim, and Clyze for the mocks, by the way. G-Bro was always on the mocks. It was a different Terra type in every single one. Never actually ended up clicking that Terra button, but it's an interesting pick here. Heatran, I think, is super strong here, either like a Choice Scarf or Choice Spec set. I think Scarf really gets in and punishes really well. And then the last one was Galarian Moltres, just kind of as like a bulky nuisance, come in on Latios. Heatran doesn't have to if Heatran wants to run more offensive, or come in on like Jirachi and stuff like that. But yeah, that is a bit about the matchup. So now let's go over our team builds. In that slot 1 is going to be Great Tusk, formidable. We got Rapid Spin, like I mentioned. He's got plenty of spikes, and I really didn't want to potentially have to contend with them all game. And then Terra Fighting was the choice. Terra Fighting actually pretty decent neutrally as well defensively. And then offensively, you know, just a strong close combat. I have enough attack to 2-hit KO a Citrus Berry Rotom. And, you know, Citrus Berry's been catching on a lot lately. Shout out Jay Ricky. So I figured that would be a good benchmark for me to hit, because otherwise Citrus Berry Rotom could potentially come in. and then Heavy Slam for Rabombi, Earthquake for Galarian Slowbro, and yeah, that's a pretty solid set if I do say so myself. Slither Wing is up next. I have an Akaberry on here primarily for Garchomp, secondarily for Heatran, and then first impression to threaten out the Slither Wing, or not the Slither Wing, we are Slither Wing, threaten out the Ogerpon or the Azelf primarily. U-turn to keep up momentum. You'll see on this team, momentum is quite a big theme, with Great Tusk actually being the only Pokemon that does not have it. So we should be able to keep up momentum pretty well this game. Close Combat's a really good nuke, and then Morning Sun, we've got a tiny bit of speed on here, just in case like Heatran's trying to creep up to us. And then we've got a lot of HP, a little bit of special defense to not get too KO'd by Fire Blast from Garchomp, and then the rest in attack with an Adamant Nature to output tons of damage. And I mean, like, literally so much more than you would expect for a non-fully invested Slither Wing. This guy is strong. Up next, our third of this triple fighting top, we have Cinderace, and ultimately I decided Pyro Ball and High Jump Kick were perfect for our coverage options. U-turn, obviously, to keep up the momentum. This guy actually will be our lead this game. He could be like a Rough Skin Rocky Helmet Chomp, but that can let in some of my threats early game, and I can kind of get him in a vortex if I lead this Cinderace forced out into the potential Garchomp, and I can get in Latios, or potentially Slither Wing, depending on the set. And then Flame Charge I thought was a really genius way to boost my speed without giving up my Libero. So I figured that would be good because it could potentially clean up in the end game. Latios up next. Choice Scarf, like I mentioned, pretty solid set, needed revenge killer, especially for Ogerpon. We at least force a tie if he is max, unless he's Scarf on his own, which I don't think is the bring here ever. And then Draco Meteor, Luster Purge for stabs, Surf for the Heatran, which I do think Chople Berry is actually a really good berry for the Heatran potentially, so I did not want to go Aura Sphere. And then Flip Turn to keep up momentum on that Heatran or Galarian Moltres ease predictions, but actually both of them bring in Prim. So Prim on this is Assault Vested with Torrent, and then we've got Surf and Moonblast as our damaging options. Flip Turn to keep up the momentum, and then Aqua Jet actually does serve an important calc here. If he's like a very bulky Galarian Moltres set, the Moonblast into Aqua Jet into First Impression will pick it off. So there's no world in which he can really sweep us if we go into this Prim. It takes like 20 from a Galarian Moltres Hurricane. It is great. And then lastly, we have Jirachi, like I mentioned. He is here to rock up, U-turn out, Iron Head potentially. He's our Galarian Slowbro switch in, and then Healing Wish out into Great Tusk if we get chipped early. We have a Lumberry on there just in case of like a fast Rotom Will-O-Wisp. I guess I did not mention that, but we don't have too much speed on there. +1, we're outspeeding the team, which should cover most Rotoms. Unless he really wants to be faster than Great Tusk, but Great Tusk naturally outspeeds, so I don't necessarily know why he would do that, unless you really want to be faster than Slither Wing. So yeah, Lumberry catches like any Will-O-Wisp shenanigans, and then we'll live like a pump if we have to. So we can potentially Healing Wish that. We can Healing Wish our Cinderace if Rough Skin Rocky Helmet Garchomp wears it down, but it looks like an apt win condition. But a lot of the time, the Primarina is actually catching a Healing Wish in front of just like if I need to, so that I can better check Heatran and Galarian Moltres, kind of giving it a second life to check 2 Pokemon rather than 1. So yeah, this is the team, and I will see you guys in the battle. Peace. Alright, this is just a quick disclaimer. So I was messing with some settings, I guess, and ultimately it led to my footage being a bit wonky. So the battle will start with my footage, because I started battle preview talking a little bit before Q did, and then it will be followed with my live commentary overlaid onto his footage, so you'll see it from the other perspective, but you'll get my commentary in time as it happens. Hopefully it works out. Hopefully it looks okay. I'm saying this before I edit it up. So thank you for watching. See you in the battle. Alrighty, and we are in the battle versus Q. Pretty similar build to what I have been facing in mocks. In every mock, it was the same 6, except instead of Azelf, it was a Moltres. But I feel pretty okay about Azelf just because, you know, I have the first impression priority on lock. So looking at this, doesn't deviate from my plan of leading Cinderace. And he's Water Slowbro, which, like, that Slowbro had infinite different Terra types it could click, which I'm, like, not surprised. Like, every single mock I did, different Slowbro Terra type, and every single one's been, like, valid. Water Bro's interesting, but I don't think it's particularly an issue. I feel like he has to Terra the Grass Ogre Pond, so I don't ultimately see it coming up. But if he does Terra it, it means close combat's even freer. Azelf gets shredded. It's, like, technically a resist, but it won't, like, get O-code, but it won't, like, not, like, live a bunch of hits. So, and I've got Spit F Jirachi. For the Azelf, I'll probably need to play up that, that need. But yeah, good luck, have fun to Q, and hopefully we can do well. Bring home a dub week 1. That's the goal, right? Rotom. That's okay, actually. Doubt you're gonna be Scarf Rotom in this matchup. Is it worth finding out though? Because, like, if you are Scarf Rotom, I really, like, I can't afford losing my Cinderace here. So ultimately, yeah, you could be just like, especially if you're like scarfed into Pump, immediately not a great spot for you. And I also think on this structure, it means a more defensive Heatrans in order. Okay, yeah, that's defensive. 301 down to 269, I want to say. I have my calc actually imported for once. Yeah, that's like a mineral. Azelf. Are you gonna be Scarf Azelf? Am I okay with that? I am okay with you being Scarf. But do I think you will be? I feel like Scarf Azelf isn't the bring here. I think you do need to, like, want to change moves. So I am fine flip turning here. Yeah, okay. Potential Sash is now broken. I can get into my star power, Jirachi. And it just T-Waves. We get a lucky dodge. That's obviously lucky. My Jirachi's very much a defensive piece here. It's not meant to be offensive, so that's fine. And we get free rocks on the second try T-Wave. Hopefully. We do get our free rocks on the second try T-Wave, and now we can get a U-turn off. And utility Azelf here means that this thing, like, the threat of it, I'm really not as scared as, like, an offensive Azelf, which, like, it's still Fire Blasting, which will do a chunk, but less than half. And we can't move because we are paralyzed. Now I can go hard Prim. I still think that having the Jirachi around for a later game Healing Wish, it's still my best G-Bro switch in for at least a little bit. So I can just go into my Prim. Getting T-Waved on this is also fine. Yeah, and Fire Blast into the AV Prim will do, yeah, nothing. Now, do I want to click Surf and kill this potentially? Do I want to click U-turn or flip turn and try to get into some type of position? I ultimately don't think that being out with my Prim when I kill something is a good thing, so I am just going to flip turn. Yeah, he just T-Waves it. Yeah, okay, that's fine. And we'll get a nice little chunk off. And now I can bring out the Cinderace, or I can bring out the... he could be Protect. I think the fact that he hasn't clicked, like, he could just be like Psychic, Fire Blast, Protect, T-Wave, and I think that's a very valid set. And now I can, like, reset positioning if, like, Garchomp or Rotom come out, and he doesn't want to sack this, or I could Pyro Ball into either of those. Seems kind of bad, so I'm just going to U-turn. I believe that I'm not aggressively creeping. I think I'm just, like, a standard creep Azelf set. He switches it. Perfect. And so, like, we are paralyzed on things, but nothing's died, and we have our rocks up. Jeff is the Garchomp. And so we'll get some nice chip on this thing. And he's Rough Skin. Is he Rocky Helmet as well? He is Rough Skin Rocky Helmet. Okay, I thought that set would come, which is why I don't want to like be continuously U-turning too much, but I can do it once and I can afford it once and I'm comfortable with that. And I think now we are in a position where we can go ahead and drop a Draco. And Heatran taking Rocks plus Draco isn't going to be something that it can do repeatedly. And so I could have surfed there, potentially. But I think like a Spadef... Oh, sent out Azelf as a sack. Cool. Hopefully we hit. If not, we can fish again. We do, unfortunately, miss. That would have been nice to get rid of this thing, but I'm just going to click Draco again. Like, I could have gone Prim, but it seems like he's content sacking this thing off. Going Prim does, like, now that he knows that I'm scarfed into Draco, mean that Heatran's a bit more of a free play, but I still really value the chip on Heatran. Oh, and if it's Spadef Tran, that's also good for me because it's just not going to be fast, which means it's not going to be faster than my time. Okay, cool. So he just lets us have the Azelf. Alright. We've gotten first blood of the BBR. This is actually the first game being played this season, so we have first blood. It's our Latios. And now Heatran, I assume, is... he's got options with, like, Ogerpon. How much am I doing to Ogerpon? I don't know. But I'm going to go into my dedicated Ogerpon first time at least switching. In this thing, he could be like play rough. If he's like choice band play rough, then we may have to reevaluate, but like just like a jolly play rough, because like this thing is really like tight on move slots. We'll live a banded play rough, but like by the skin of our teeth if he does happen to go for it. He just U-turns though. Yeah, that's the Garchomp, I believe. Yeah. So as Garchomp, we kind of don't have the best switch, and this is kind of the de facto Garchomp switch-in. So I'm fine, I believe, to close combat this once. I should still be alive after this, which is what matters. And I'm just curious if he's going to, like, Draco Meteor. He just rocks up. Maybe U-turn was also a fine play there, but... yeah. Oh, crit. That was a great crit. I don't think we killed without the crit, but that was a nice crit. Because now we don't have to deal with, like, another round of Rough Skin and Rocky Helmet. Oh, I should have seen how much the U-turn did. Because, like, from non-banded Ogre, that U-turn, he did 10.4 to 12.6, which was, like, 40 points. I want to say we were at, like, 270 something. No, that can't be right, because our max health is 370. Here, I can do some reverse engineering with the math once I see what exactly we are at health-wise. Because Rough Skin does 12.5. Rocky Helmet does... oh, Ben Johnson, that's the GOAT right there. Galarian Slowbro. We're at 203, which is 54%. So, 54 plus 16.7 plus 12.5. We should have been at like 83-ish percent. Which is... after a U-turn, it was much stronger than anticipated. So I do think that does deduce banded damage. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. And I can just go into Jirachi on this thing. We should still be faster, even while paralyzed, unless he is running some amount of speed on his Galarian Slowbro. And I can either start trying to Iron Head this thing down. He Earthquakes, good play. That'll catch us nice and low. I kind of want to throw a Healing Wish into the air, as greedy as that sounds. Can catch it with low-key, might just try to... I don't know what I would want to catch it with, but I think I just click Healing Wish. Because, like, doing the Iron Head thing wouldn't have worked out particularly well for me. So my options are potentially go Tusk and force, like, a 50-50 Terra Call, where if I get that wrong, do I die to Psychic? No, I don't, actually. Yeah, and that's the only way that my Healing Wish doesn't immediately get burnt. So I can either Rapid Spin or Earthquake or Terra Fighting Close Combat. I think I Terra Fighting regardless. So Rapid Spin just puts off the Terra Call for another turn. I feel like you either... Because, like, if you Terra Water, then you can't Terra your Ogre Pond, so that's great for me. So I don't think you can really want to Terra Water here. After Rocks plus Rapid Spin, Rotom should be in range. I could also just aggressively Close Combat, but I don't think that's what... I'm just going to spin these Rocks away. I think he's got to switch, and we live a Psychic from, like, no attack, and I think he had to be relatively defensive. So, yeah, he just switches. Okay. It was a thinking turn. Like, that was definitely a hard call to make. Okay. Rotom will take Rocks. It'll take Rapid Spin and be in, like, damn near close combat range. Okay. That's, like, very much defensive. I don't know if it's going to be in range of what I want it to be in range. That being said, I still do live any one. And, what can come in that I need to preserve the health for? At this point, like, I don't really need health on my Great Tusk. I just need this damage off on the Rotom, because that, like, now my Cinderace endgame is a lot better. Potentially. Like, it's just a little bit more opened up than it was with this Rotom dead, or gonna be low after this close combat, and the Garchomp near dead. Or, the Garchomp is dead, sorry. Yeah. Okay. Defenses fall. Also, like, if you Willows, that'll be great. We might not live a Pump. He discharges. We should live that. We're really Spadef. Yeah. Oh, we get parried. That's unfortunate. Oh, wait, we have a Lumberry. Never mind. We're goated. Goated prep. 46 out of 405. We do die to Rocky Helmet no matter what. Yeah, there's no way that we don't die to Helmet. Close Combat's a free play. Cool. Alright. So now I think Slither Wing's good position, because he's going to have the Ogre Pond, which obviously he gets threatened out by first impression. He's got Galarian Bro, and he's got, what's the third mon? Heatran. So Latios is also an option, but I think it's a little bit more iffy. I don't necessarily think I need to go there. And I just need to make sure that my Slither Wing stays alive. It doesn't need any health. I got rid of the rocks. It just needs to stay alive. Perfect. Ogre Pond. So I catch the Healing Wish. That's actually nice. I almost forgot about that. But no, I think that is, like, precisely where I wanted it to go. You can't stay in on a first impression. There's no way. Yeah, that was a perfect Healing Wish. I wasn't even thinking about it. Makes me look silly in the video. Makes me look kind of goated from his perspective. Yeah, I just... No, because first impression's fine, because I can stay in on the Heatran afterwards. and close combat it with my Aqua Berry. And I figured Galarian Slowbro just comes out here. Oh, Heatran. Cool. He could be Choppleberry, but he may not be. Chip on the Heatran makes things much easier. And then, obviously, I have Aqua Berry for this overheat. Should live. Whew. That was a crit. But because we spun those rocks away, we live. Cool. Because we had the healing wish and we were able to spin away the rocks, things worked out. Ogerpon obviously comes out. Rocks are doing their thing. At this point, Primarina's useless. Very much useless. I just need to like kind of hold on to pieces so that I can keep threatening first impression. But as long as I have first impression threatenable, perfect. Yeah, that was... Whew, that crit had me on the edge of my seat. He could just U-turn here as well, which I don't really care about, but... Yeah, he just U-turns. Okay. He still hasn't Terra'd, which, honestly, I don't care at this point if you Terra or you don't. I'm just gonna, like, sack this Primarina. I don't need it for shit. And you were Boots, right? Yeah, he's Boots. Okay. I'm just... Alright, so it turns out that the footage was a little bit more messed up, so I now am dubbing over the last 5 minutes. He just U-turned into his Glowbro, and I was ready to sack my Prim at that point. We were fighting a Slowbro and an Ogerpon, so ultimately I didn't really think that I would need my Primarina, and now I can get out into my Latios. And I was thinking what to choice lock into, whether it be a good decision to lock into Luster Purge or Draco. And ultimately, I figured Luster Purge should be doing right around 50%, right? And if I get one Spadaf drop, it'll be game over, and I should be able to clean things up from there. So I do my first Luster Purge, and... don't get a Spadaf drop. It's doing slightly less than half. Slack off still happens. I have 7 more Luster Purges, right? So I think I was talking in my original recording about gambling, and we're just going gambling, right? We're the guy who hasn't hit the diamonds yet and is excited. We have not turned back around, and we are not going to turn back around. We are just going to click another Luster Purge, right? There's no reason for us to stop clicking Luster Purge either, because we get the drop, we KO. So even if he wants to attack us, we should leave him at a relatively low life total, such that he will not be able to come back in. And he does Shell Sidearm, and does get the poison crucially, which means that now he can potentially sack Ogerpon on a turn where our Latios will die, which makes things a little bit dicey, because he told us he was Terra Water at the beginning of the game. We have 2 good options to potentially kill it with in the Cinderace and the... Cinderace and our Slither Wing. So, if he Terras, that makes things easier to potentially click Close Combat or High Jump Kick with our fighting types. But if he doesn't Terra, we might be in for a world of hurt with a 50-50 Terra call on this Slowbro, whether it be do we High Jump Kick or do we Pyro Ball. And you can see here, we get our Spadaf drop just in the nick of time, and he slacks it off, but now is in range this turn. And crucially, this next turn is also the turn where we die to poison damage. So, ultimately, now, I was at this point thinking, okay, game might be a little bit tighter than I anticipated, because now the sack aligns, so he can stay alive with his Slowbro, get regenerated, sack the Ogerpon, and my Latios will die. It'll be a double down, and I'm kind of gonna have to think about things. So, I've already at this point been content to click the Luster Purge. I did think, I was like, this is a crucial thinking turn where if he does not take the time to think things out, then the Ogerpon is just in a bad spot and Gittle'll die to first impression. But if he does take the time to think things out, that's where we have our interesting scenario that we've now found ourselves in. So down goes Latios to Poison. I was hoping I'd be just in range, but for the second time this game, it was a close roll. First time being the Great Tusk dying to Helmet. Now this was the Latios dying to the Poison. And here is Galarian Slowbro versus our Slither Wing. Slither Wing was my call because I figured I can Morning Sun once, try to figure out what his plan is exactly, as I do go for my Morning Sun. And ultimately, it's a bit of a risky gambit, right? Because Shell Side Arm does slightly less, but I'm risking a poison now every time. So at this point, I'm just like, fuck it, let's U-turn on out of here. Cinderace will live one Shell Side Arm. He's not going to Earthquake my bug. That's how he really throws the game away. And I can potentially force Terra. If I force Terra, then we will be having close combat doing so much more damage, and it should be a game that we can win. But I go into my Cinderace as I get that critical hit on the U-turn, which potentially means that he will be in range of U-turn, as Shell Side Arm just barely leaves my Cinderace alive. And I just have to make the crucial call. I'm like, he has to slack off here. If he doesn't, that's fine. U-turn will leave him just in range of even like Flame Charge if he doesn't die to it. And if he does, then perfect. We will be able to win 1-0. But this way, we do force the Terra, which in my mind screams he's going to be clicking slack off here, which we will see, in fact, that is what he decides to do, is click the slack off as the U-turn comes out. We Libero. For a second I was confused. I was like, did we miss a U-turn? But no. Puts him on 6 HP. I don't know if that was a roll. I wasn't really thinking about that at this point in the game. I was just like, how do I not throw? Because I felt like I was in the driver's seat for so much of this game. Slither Wing comes out. This was a very important moment. Had I not spun away rocks, this game could have been impossible. But because Great Tusk took the turn to spin away rocks, earlier in the game, I wasn't even necessarily thinking about it in that exact purpose. But I get to click my close combat and knock out this Galarian Slowbro. So ultimately, we are able to pick up Week 1 versus Q. I would like to thank you all for watching. And hopefully my buggy little situation does not scare you guys off entirely. I think I did still provide some insightful commentary, even if the footage was not necessarily my own. So I want to thank you all for hopping on, making it to the end of this video. And until next time, J Bear out. Peace.